I'd like to spend a little bit of time on the subject of these price caps.
Yes, sir.
Because in the conversation I've had with people, I've heard you getting it coming and going. People are criticizing the PUC because it didn't go up fast enough. People are criticizing the PUC because it didn't go down fast enough. So let's look at the first criticism that didn't go up fast enough. Senator Schwertner is smarter than me, so when he asked you about why it got stuck there, he got your answer, and I didn't. It had something to do with an algorithm and maybe misreading signals. Could you re-explain that? Why was the price stuck at 1,500 or 1,000 or whatever it is, or was?
Because ERCOT was having to hold reserves in order to maintain the system and then build it up enough so they could return people on to service. The system was seeing those reserves there and assuming that there was no longer a load shed event, and so it was letting the prices go back down.
So translating, the system, the algorithm was looking at that increased reserves, which ERCOT was responsibly trying to build up, knowing that stuff was going to freeze and bust. And the algorithm saw it as, hey, look, we've got excess capacity.
Yes,
Kept it down. Okay. So at some point, was it the generators who came to the PUC and said, never mind your algorithm, let's get this price up so we can buy our gas?
No, sir, it was ERCOT that brought the issue to our attention because, again, the generators were being backed down when it was at 1,000 or 1,200. The generators were being backed down, and we couldn't have them back down. We needed them producing every megawatt.
They were being backed down. What does that mean?
So if they were running at 3,000, the whole system was running at 3,000 well, you're not going to have a unit like that. So if a unit's running at 400 megawatts and its price was higher than the 1,200, then the system would tell it, we only need 100 megawatts from you or whatever.
And are you telling me that on Monday morning, perhaps, we had generators that were producing less electricity than they were capable of producing?
System was telling them to, and so that was part of what was going on.
So yes,
yes,
we could have had more electricity humming along on Monday morning than we actually had in a different set of, if things had worked the way we all wish they had.
Yes, sir.
And that was a computerized result, that there was an algorithm telling a generator, hang tight, price is going to go up later?
That is my understanding, but Mr. Magnus would understand that better. I mean, they are the ones that let us know that this issue was occurring.
And would Mr. Magnus or anybody else be able to identify which generators were producing less than they could physically produce at that moment?
That, again, would be him. I would guess that we do know that, but I don't know.
And that's something that we should know. And again, we're not casting blame at this moment, but we want to figure out who behaved in what way and why, and if it was rational under our market structure, maybe we need to re-examine our market structure.
But the owner of the generation unit wasn't making the decision. They were bid in to have it run the full amount. They weren't doing anything. It was the system. Okay,
so they weren't holding back. They were essentially told to hold back, again, for that Ohm's law that keeps the whole grid stable.
Yes, sir.
According to the signal they got, the thing's going to blow up if they ramped up their generation. Sorry to be so colloquial, but it's easy to understand that way.
How it was explained to me, and again, how it was explained to me is that when the reserves were building up and the price was dropping, those units were being backed down. When the reserves were down low, then it would push them back up, and it was doing wear and tear also on the units, moving them up and down.
Who was it that should have noticed? I mean, I'm building in something into my question, but should somebody have figured that out at 10 o'clock Monday morning? Hey, wait, we need generation and we don't have full generation.
I think that's part of what we're going to need to figure out is when that should have been seen and
by whom?
And by whom? Well, it would have been ERCOT because they're the ones that with the model.
Okay. And then eventually the price did get raised to 9,000. And was that the PUC's decision?
ERCOT asked us to do it to fix this issue. And yes, sir, that was our decision.
And is that related to the memo that Senator Schwertner was referring to? That decision?
I believe so.
Okay. What is the before last week, what is the longest period of time the wholesale electricity clearing price was sustained at the cap?
It was probably not this past summer, but the summer before, in August, either 13th or 15th. And it was nowhere near this. And again...
Was it about 8 hours?
I don't remember the hours from then.
Less than a day?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, Senator Johnson, let her complete her statement, if you would.
Yeah, and this is one of the issues I think we have to look at, because the 9,000 was not intended to be in this situation.
Reading my mind. How many hours was that cap in place last week?
I don't know that figure.
Was it?
I believe I saw a figure of load shed at 70.5 hours is what I believe I saw load shed being.
So let's say it was 70.5, and I don't know the number either. We know it was days, several days. During that period of time, pretty much everybody in the industry should have been aware that there are prices in this whole cycle, top to bottom, wellhead to light switch, at levels never seen in history before, that the system was not designed to sustain ever. Should there have been a break, some way we could suspend the market the way the stock market does and say, freeze? Because I should stop and let you answer that question.
I don't know the answer to that question, to be totally honest. I know that ERCOT has those provisions and the protocols. And
is that the ERCOT nodal protocols? And Chairman, I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm really just trying to help her.
Yes.
And there's a section 2 in the ERCOT nodal protocols that defines, what is it? It's a market suspension event. Are you familiar with that?
I've heard of it this week, yes, sir.
To your understanding, does that give ERCOT the power to, I don't know what a market suspension is. I read the definition. I still don't know. Do you know what a market suspension is?
I don't know.
Or
I
what it
don't
would
think
look
one's
like?
ever occurred.
Okay. Could the PUC have done something a day, 24 hours into a $9,000 cap? I should back up. Did anyone know that the $9,000 cap was not increasing the generation of electricity a day after it was in place?
I think the $9,000 cap was keeping the generation on that was there.
And so if it had backed off a 9,000 on Wednesday night, would the generation have come down?
I think it was very possible.
And what would have caused it to come down?
Of the people putting the power into the system.
And that would be because the generators would lose money at a lower price?
Don't know. I don't think, I would hope they wouldn't make those type of decisions. I think those are more directed for them.
PUC has no responsibility for that.
For what?
For managing the effect of the market cap price on this system. I mean, it's a public utility commission governing energy in this state. I mean, somebody's got to have been able to step into this mess and keep the generators running without, I mean, this is a fiction of $45 billion of showing up on electronic ledgers to do the same thing we do every day, every other day of the year. And it went on for days. I mean, I don't know who to ask to fix this next time. I'm not talking about blame. I'm talking about who do I ask to fix this next time so we can figure out how. So could the PUC have said to the Railroad Commission, tell the gas suppliers to quit charging $900 an MCF, but maybe the gas suppliers are going to go out of business. I don't know. What do we need to do to that market to fix it so they don't charge $900, so the generators don't have to charge $9,000, so that the retail electric providers don't have to charge their customers? This whole system was stuck on itself. Where can we break the circuit?
I think we need to have those discussions, figure out where we can break it. I absolutely agree with you that we need to figure, this did not work like it should work, and we need to figure out what a solution is.